Welcome, everybody. It is Friday's 1-hour edition of Talkback, brought to you by Solway Armory. More guns and ammo than anyone else in Missoula. The best prices in Montana. Montana's premier firearms dealer on Stockyard Road. Nissan and Hyundai of Missoula under new management, offering rebates, discounts, 0% financing, and a huge selection of inventory. Bullseye, where they offer some of the lowest prices in town on contact lenses at 2910 South Reserve. Transport Equipment, your headquarters for RV service maintenance and repair, located next to the Axeman. Dig It Excavating, bringing 30 years of excellence to your job. Call Glenn, 214-4292, Kootenai Creek Village, the maintenance-free active adult community in Stevensville for the best of Western Montana living, and by the Mustard Seed Asian Cafe in Southgate Mall. All right, here it is Friday, and it's a gorgeous day, sunshine, and not only do we have sunshine outside, we have sunshine inside your radio, ladies and gentlemen, because we have the bright and sunny county attorney for Missoula, Kirsten Pabst. How was that, Kirsten?
Wow, that was a little over the top, Peter.
That's okay. There's something about Friday. I get a little crazy there.
A little delirious.
Anyway, so tell us what's going on in your office.
Well, we've had kind of an average week. I don't, nothing when we've got citizens that are being victimized. I'm reticent to call it average, but we had 10 new pretty serious cases that we filed this week. But numbers-wise, that's about where we've been holding fairly steady recently. 2 of those were felony fugitive cases that we talked a little bit about last time out of Washington State. We had an assault on a developmentally disabled boy, that we filed charges on, an incest case, resisting arrest. The fellow that allegedly was inside of Jakers after the fire there and was allegedly consuming their alcohol. That was charged as a burglary.
It's a very expensive drink.
A very expensive drink. His bail was set at $2,500.
Wow. Who thinks of that?
Yeah.
What? Was it an employee or is it just some guy off the street? Oh, no one's in the building today. I think I'll have a sip.
Well, the business was closed for repairs after the fire.
Yeah, so. Kept waiting for a waitress, and nobody came up to the... Sorry. It's just like, hello?
Oh, my goodness.
You two are a little punchy today.
I know. Terrible.
It's been a long week. I watched something happened last night called the Republican debate, which I'm still kind of befuddled by. But yeah, it does seem like we have a lot of stupid criminals in Missoula. I mean, it's been, in the last 3 weeks, I think I've seen 3 crime stories about someone stealing someone else's drink. Whether that be robbing a lady at knife point of a root beer or taking someone's beer at the bus stop downtown or whatever. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's disheartening too when when you look a little deeper and realize that the victims of these offenses have experienced a pretty traumatic event. Let's see, what else? There was a fella who allegedly was carrying a concealed weapon, a semi-automatic firearm in the back of his pants after he was convicted on supervision for felony offenses. There was another one, and then maybe this is what you were referring to, John, the fight at Bayern Brewery.
Oh, no, I hadn't even heard about this one.
Oh, well,
add another to my list.
Maybe you're up to 4. There was a fight at Bayern, and then the defendant allegedly went on the fight with the police that went there to respond and instill order. And then finally, we had a felony, no, not quite finally yet, but we had a felony domestic abuse that the victim in this case was the suspect's brother. Involved a head laceration when they were in an argument over something to do with food or beverages. And then finally a felony drug case involving opiates.
All right. And so these are things that your staff deals with every single day. Now, the one thing I have noted is that you have arranged your office so that certain investigators are specializing in certain things, some with sexual assault, some with civil cases, some specifically to do with drugs and things like that, right?
I have done that. I do it for several reasons. I think people are more productive when they're doing things that they enjoy doing. And let's just face it, not everybody's cut out to prosecute sex crimes or to process bad check cases. But some people really like processing bad check cases, and then they tend to be better at it. And then it also lets us get more specialized training so that people can hone their skills in a particular area.
Hey, how's the mediation thing going? We talked about that. We spoke with Jason last week. You weren't available, so I wanted to find out how that's going.
I'm really excited about it, Peter. We're just getting it up off the ground. In fact, the one case that is sort of our pilot case for mediation is scheduled for March 14th.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, I'll let you know how that goes. If it's not a successful mediation, I won't be able to talk about it because then we would set it back on the trial calendar. But if it is successful, I think it might be a good area for some discussion.
Okay, I've got a weird left field question for you. We do this new segment called Odd News. What's the oddest prosecution you've ever dealt with personally?
Boy, I think you're going to have to let me...
Just going to have to ruminate on that for a while.
20 years worth, and there's usually something odd every day.
I think we're going to ask you to start keeping an odd list right by your phone. Okay, this one's for Peter and John. Odd because that's what they are.
2 years, $20,000 for gopher ingestion.
Anyway, okay. Well, listen. So if folks have questions, perhaps about maybe a sexual assault investigation or someone who feels like they have been a victim of a crime, first of all, obviously call police and or the sheriff's department. Now, at what point do you folks get involved at the county attorney's office?
That's kind of a new shift for us. We used to wait till the investigation was complete. The police would send it over in a tidy little file. We'd go through it. We'd try to schedule conversations with the police, and then eventually we'd come to some kind of a consensus about whether or not charges could be filed. Now we have a prosecutor that's located over at the police department special victims unit. So she's working with the detectives, and they're working with her and to put together the cases with the prosecution's input at the very beginning. And the result of that has been that we've got a much quicker turnaround now in processing these cases. But at this point, we generally try to get involved early. We don't formally review a case, however, until it's completely wrapped up and finished and sent over for us to review.
All right, excellent. And then again, what percentage of those actually go to trial? I know many of them are actually pled out simply because of the sheer number, right?
Yeah, and I think those cases are probably the numbers are probably pretty similar, but generally speaking, we take about 5% of our cases that we file to trial. And that's got us working at about 110% capacity, just with the 5%. The resources that it takes to put on a trial are pretty incredible. So, yeah, we do settle most of our case, about 95% pre-trial through plea negotiations. And that's pretty consistent statewide as well as nationally.
Excellent. All right, Kirsten, we've taken up enough of your time. Thanks so much, and best of luck, and have a good weekend to you and your staff.
Yeah, you have a good sunny weekend, too. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much. All right, That's Kirsten Paps, our county attorney, with our weekly report. Another one of our wonderful officials who does not mind being on the radio and sharing what they do.
That's right. One of the pleasures of being in the radio business is having people that do work for free.
All right, we're going to take a little break. 721-1290 is our number. 1-800-568-5309. We're coming right back. I get so busy being silly, I totally forgot to put the bumper music in there. Hello! Okay, that's John King. Over there, I'm Peter Christian. And since this is a talk show, we do like to go to the phones and talk to people. Hi, Catherine. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Oh, real quick, before you get going, Catherine, we had a call from one of our listeners, Boyd. And we never really came up with an Odd News name, but I wanted to thank Catherine publicly because a lot of the work that goes into the news that gets into the Odd News is stuff that she finds and emails me.
Yes.
So anyway, but Boyd had recommended the strange, the silly, and the stupid for the name for the Odd News category.
As opposed to the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is what ordinarily you find in this room. So
well, maybe not the good.
I'll tell you, it's not hard to find. I mean, there's so much stuff. As you know, I've been sending you tons and tons, and I don't know how you managed to go through all of it. Actually.
Oh, I don't. Well, there's just no way.
I particularly like the one you just sent, which was a form where Mitt Romney for president. I was going, holy smoke.
Oh yeah, that's interesting because the Romney for President Inc. filed presidential. They have that presidential form that they have to file that indicates that they're planning on running. He filed two of them, or the company filed two of them. One last October. October, and the other one was in January. So Romney/Ryan is they're up and running. So that's an interesting little tidbit, isn't it?
Well, considering the speech he made yesterday, slamming Donald Trump, I wonder if that was casting down the gauntlet, saying I'm ready to run.
Well, yeah, I think there's this plan in place to create a brokered convention where he and Ryan can kind of slip in there. But we'll see what happens, right?
Well, I think there is no doubt that he was pushing for a second vote at the convention. He actually kind of brought that up in his speech, which actually now's a good time to play that. Thanks for the lead there, Catherine.
Oh, okay. This isn't why I called, but...
Oh, okay.
Do you want to go do that first?
Well, go ahead. Tell us what you want to talk about. Whatever.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about the Merc, but put that in context with all the plans for the downtown area.
Sure.
What they're talking about with the Merc is putting in a Marriott hotel.
Yeah, we need another hotel really bad.
Well, see, that's the thing, because the Sheraton, which is a block away,
right,
is under new management, and they're planning on renovating and expanding that.
Right.
And they're planning on putting a giant hotel across from the hospital.
Exactly.
With that, remember that the city council has put their fingers in the pie so many times they take so long?
Where the Fox Theater used to be, right?
Yeah, where the Fox Theater used to be. I was going to bring that one up, too. And so, is there a plan?
Oh, but wait, there's more. There's supposed to be another one over where Curly's used to be, near Southgate Mall.
Right.
So,
but
anyway.
Yeah, I know. I just keep wondering what the plan is to fill all these hotels, because that's a huge number of rooms that they're looking at putting in.
I actually do know. I have a little bit of inside information as to what that is. You see, what we're doing here at Montana Morning, and of course with the Billy and Shireen show next door at KISS FM, is having a live studio audience. We're going to build bleachers right outside our patented exclusive weather window, so people can watch us in the dark as we read the news and stuff. And of course, we will have to have extra hotel space for those folks who are coming in out of town to be able to enjoy that.
Actually, I think what happened is the idea for the hotels, it came through yesterday.
Yeah.
It was no surprise for many of those that listen on 101.5. Our signal went out. People had to come into Missoula to get the 1290 signal, which frustrated a lot of people.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So go ahead, Catherine.
Well, there's also two other buildings that are in that same block as the Merc for sale. Do you know anything about that?
No.
Okay.
In a word.
Okay, and there's also the new library is in play now, and they already have some sort of an arrangement with Mr. Payne.
Sure, they want to buy up that extra block.
Right, the block over, right next door, and which is a whole bunch of rental properties. They're older homes.
By the way, I have to say this is a little slight at the library. I tried to call and get a story on that, and I haven't been able to get anybody to call me back. It's been really frustrating. In the past, they had a lady, Mary Powers, that would always be willing to talk about what was going on at the library, and she apparently left. And someone find a voice and tell us what you want to do.
That would be nice.
It would be very nice.
The point, I guess the main point that I want to make is that I kind of feel sorry for all the downtown businesses, because all of this building is going to be going on within a specific time frame, starting this spring, I believe, isn't it? And
I don't think there's any way they make headway on the Merc before spring.
No, but some of the other stuff.
Even the library has to be okayed through county commissioner's office.
But keep in mind, too, the construction is going to be going on the Madison Street Bridge.
Exactly.
They're going to be doing that. And plus, they'll be building the Champion Center over at the University of Montana. That's more construction. So, lots of good construction jobs, but it could be kind of tough getting around.
Well, and so all the downtown businesses are going to have to kind of do something to mitigate the economic impact, because it's going to be extremely difficult, number one, to get around, and number two, to go shopping down there.
Right. I do know, though, that no matter what happens, the wonderful new Luke parking meters will not be affected in any way.
They will not leave.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Over the next 5 years, it's going to be extremely difficult to function down there, I suspect.
Well, it's just growing pains, that's all.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see.
Catherine, we got to run.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for the call. And Al, we're going to get you on in a moment, and we have John's on line 2. We also have line 1 open. It's open phones. We're going to try to listen to what Mr. Romney had to say.
So easy we forget the name.
Yeah. What was his name again? Yeah, and we'll be right back. It's Talk Back, and it's Friday. And let's go right back to the phones real quick. Tom, you're on Talk Back. Hi.
Oh, hey, how's it going, guys?
Fantastic. What's up?
I got a question. I live in the Bitterroot, and I was talking to someone. They gave me a rumor that there was going to be a new roundabout built on Orange Street somewhere. Do you know about that?
That's true. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly. I'll pull it up for you though during this next soundbite, okay? And I'll tell everybody on the air where it's going to be.
All right, thanks, John.
Thanks for the call. And so let's do this now. Let's talk about Mitt Romney, who, of course, was unsuccessful in his bid against Barack Obama last time out. So now he's attacking Donald Trump. So here we go.
If the other candidates can find some common ground, I believe we can nominate a person who can win the general election and who will represent the values and policies of conservatism. Given the current delegate selection process, that means that I'd vote for Marco Rubio in Florida, and for John Kasich in Ohio, and for Ted Cruz, or whichever one of the other two contenders has the best chance of beating Mr. Trump in a given state. Now let me turn to national security and the safety of our homes and loved ones. Mr. Trump's bombast is already alarming our allies and fueling the enmity of our enemies. Insulting all Muslims will keep many of them from fully engaging with us in their urgent fight against ISIS. And for what purpose? Muslim terrorists would only have to lie about their religion to enter the country. And then what he said about 60 Minutes, did you hear this? It was about Syria and ISIS, and it has to go down as the most ridiculous and dangerous idea of the entire campaign season. Let ISIS take out Assad, he said, and then we can pick up the remnants. Now think about that. Let the most dangerous terror organization the world has ever known take over an entire country? This recklessness is recklessness in the extreme. Now, Donald Trump tells us that he is very, very smart. I'm afraid that when it comes to foreign policy, he is very, very not smart.
Applaud here.
Now, I'm far from the first to conclude that Donald Trump lacks the temperament to be president. After all, this is an individual who mocked a disabled reporter, who attributed a reporter's questions to her menstrual cycle, who mocked a brilliant rival who happened to be a woman due to her appearance, who bragged about his marital affairs, and who laces his public speeches with vulgarity. Donald Trump says he admires Vladimir Putin. At the same time, he's called George W. Bush a liar. That is a twisted example of evil trumping good. There's a dark irony in his boasts of his sexual exploits during the Vietnam War, while at the same time, John McCain, whom he has mocked, was imprisoned and tortured. Dishonesty is Donald Trump's hallmark. He claimed that he had spoken clearly and boldly against going into Iraq. Wrong. He spoke in favor of invading Iraq. He said he saw thousands of Muslims in New Jersey celebrating 9/11. Wrong. He saw no such thing. He imagined it. He's not of the temperament of the kind of stable, thoughtful person we need as leader. His imagination must not be married to real power. The President of the United States has long been the leader of the free world. The president and, yes, even the nominees of the country's great parties help define America to billions of people around the world. All of them bear the responsibility of being an example for our children and our grandchildren. Think of Donald Trump's personal qualities, the bullying, the greed, the showing off, the misogyny, the absurd third-grade theatrics. Now imagine your children and your grandchildren acting the way he does. Would you welcome that? Haven't we seen before what happens when people in prominent positions fail the basic responsibility of honorable conduct? We have. And it always injures our families and our country. Watch, by the way, how he responds to my speech today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go.
So,
you want to go and play it? His response?
We can play his response if you'd like. I have it queued up, and I'll be honest. I was expecting him to be more harsh. He was at times. There's a part of his speech where he says you won't hear here, where he says that I could have made Romney go down on his knees to beg for my money, basically, which is what Trump always says. I have so much money, everyone wants me. La 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 la. I'm beautiful. I have lots of women. I've had 3 marriages. I've had lots of businesses.
Let's get to what he actually said.
Here's what he said.
All right, here we go.
And Mitt ran. Probably it was the worst run that most people have seen, because most people thought that the Republican candidate would win. So when Mitt started raising his head a few months ago, I was very strong. I said, Mitt Romney should not run. He's a choke artist. And I said it very strongly. I wanted to keep him in. And then Jeb Bush actually convinced Mitt not to run. Can you imagine? Jeb sold him. Jeb, he's a good salesman. See, now that he's out, I'll say Jeb's a good salesman, right? He's a high-energy salesman. So that's really the thing. So with Mitt, I just wanted to tell you that he came out. It was very nasty. I mean, I thought he was a better person than that. I did help him. I raised money for his campaign. I actually had 2 fundraisers for him. In fact, the first fundraiser was so successful that we had the second one that same day. His wife, who was a lovely woman, by the way, a really lovely woman, she came up. We had a fundraiser in my apartment at Trump Tower, and it was so oversubscribed. I did a great job. They couldn't have cared less about him. In fact, a lot of them said, Donald, he's a stiff. He's not going to win. I said, oh, he'll be fine. He's a stiff. I should have listened to the guy. But we had a fundraiser, and it was so big, and it was raining out. I won't forget this one. I was raining, and really raining. It was a miserable, miserable day. And the people came in, hundreds of people, phase 1. And then we said, there's too many people to put them in one. So we called for another one an hour later, after it ended 1 hour. And because everybody's shoes were so wet, I ruined my carpet. That's why I ruined. This carpet was wiped out. And nobody thanked me for the carpet. Hey, maybe I can send Mitt a bill for carpet ruined, right? But I always, when you help somebody, he asked me to make robocalls. I made 6 robocalls for him. Every single place I made the robocall, he won. North Carolina, there were 6 different places. So you help somebody, and then he turns. Now, I will say this. He probably had a right to turn, because nobody could have been nastier than me in getting him not to run by saying he's a choke artist. And I will say the reason I did that, he was going to run. I love our country too much. If he would have run, and even if he would have won, it would have been bad. He doesn't have what it takes to be president. That I can tell you. He doesn't have what it takes to be president.
Okay,
there you go.
We're up against the break.
By the way, for the caller that was asking about Orange Street and the roundabout, so it's called the Orange Street Interchange. It'll be down by I-90, where Orange Street runs into I-90.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of very confusing streets, a lot of accidents there, so that may be why they're doing it. Anyway, so we're going to take a break, come right back. Candy in Maryland, we'll get you on. We have one line open. Response, what do you think? Now, Romney versus Trump, and Rubio versus Trump, and Cruz versus Trump,
it's
and
pretty
John
much
versus Trump.
Sanity versus Trump.
We'll be back. Okay, we're back, 9:35. Thanks for joining us here on Talkback. All 3 lines are full, so let's jump in there. Candy, you're on Talkback. Go ahead.
Yes, there's a video on AlexJones.com that shows you Romney accepting Trump's largesse, I guess you could call it. And
let's say money, because people might not understand what you're talking about after last night's speech.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Your mind went right through the gutter, didn't it, John?
Trump does drag us there frequently.
That's a shame.
I know it is. It very much is a shame.
Anyway, there's a clip on Alex Jones where it shows Romney accepting Trump's donation and lauding his business sense, and it's over the top with schmooze by Romney. That's all I wanted to say. And if you can go to that, you can see the conflict in the Trump's attitude that he would be attacked by Romney. Thank you.
Thanks, Candy. All right, let me leave the line open, 721-1290. Marilyn, you're up. Hi.
Yeah, that was part of what I was going to say, too. You guys know I'm no fan of Trump, but there is a clip out there of Romney singing Trump's praises 4 years ago when he was getting Trump's endorsement. And I called, oh gosh, you guys think I call this show and rant? You should hear me when I call Daines' office or Tester's office or Zinke's office.
So I am still looking for this video you guys are talking about. I'm actually on Alex Jones' InfoWars site. I feel bad about that.
All the radio shows yesterday were playing the clip of Romney singing his praises.
Is it the same clip from when he was at the nomination?
It wasn't in... I don't know. Okay. I just heard it on the radio over and over. Something else I wanted to say was I'm so mad that Romney, he showed his cowardice when he didn't debate well against Obama and lost the election there. Thank you very much. And now he's total coward. I mean, proving his cowardice that he didn't jump in the race back when everybody else jumped in. He thinks he's going to get it now. There's no way. I voted for him back then, and I won't vote for him now.
I don't think people are supporting him. I don't think he's even planning on running for president.
I know. Well, I think that speech that he gave yesterday when he specifically told everybody to go vote here, there, and everywhere, he's wanting to make it so Trump doesn't show up to the convention with enough delegates, which would pretty much make it a brokered convention.
Sure, you're right about that, but I don't think anyone would select Mitt Romney even if it does go to a second vote. I don't think most people would select a failed candidate to fill that position. Well, I mean, really, Romney is failed. He failed in his presidential bid twice. I think it's third time's not going to be the charm for Romney.
Yeah, and my rant to the Republicans when I called yesterday was that if the party blows up, it is totally their fault for not getting what everybody is so upset about out here. It's them that has done it. The rhinos have done it. Oh, and one more thing. When I hear talk show hosts or whoever say, well, I'm going to vote for Trump because he has an R behind his name, that, I believe, is what has gotten us into this problem, too, because whenever there's Democrats in the Congress that switch to I'm an R now, not a D, well, they still vote with the Ds. And so we cannot keep going along with that, we got to vote for him because he has an R behind his name.
Okay,
he's
Meryl.
Still a D.
All right, thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Emmett, you're on Talkback. Got about a minute and a half. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I don't know about, I've never heard of Trump bragging about cheating on his wife. I've never heard those clips.
Oh, I'll play you some.
Oh, please do so.
Okay, well, I got some quotes here for you. I'm glad you asked. Well, go ahead. Finish your point.
Briefly, I still love Donald Trump. I'd like to hear those clips, but just briefly, when I was listening to the debate, they had some breaking news they just broke in, and I just want to repeat this briefly. North Korea is arming its nukes to fire anytime at a moment's notice because they got some more sanctions from the UN. So it looks like any moment Kim Jong-il is going to give the word to try to nuke the United States. I think we need to be in prayer, and I think our president, Obama, needs to try and do something serious. I know he doesn't, but if I were president, I'd be meeting with my generals to try and deal with this. This is pretty serious. I know it's not about Trump. You know how I feel about Trump. I love the guy still, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
All right, Emmett, we got to run. Thanks for the call.
Yep.
721-1290.
That North Korea deal is a strong, and it's a real thing. It is a real good reminder that this is a dangerous world, and you don't want to put a dangerous person in the office of the president.
So we're going to take a quick break, 721-1290. We have all three lines open, and when we come back, we'll play this from Ben Shapiro.
I don't think we will. It's just so long. We got more stuff to talk about.
Okay.
Maybe when you go, Peter might leave early. So.
As a matter of fact, I do have to leave in about 5 minutes to cover a press conference. But right now, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. 721-1290 is the number. It's Talkback, and Carrie is waiting to visit with us. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning, guys. Now, I have a question for John.
Hit me.
You and I are kind of been on the same mind about Trump, but I had heard you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you are on the fence on whether or not, if Trump is the nominee, whether or not you would vote for him.
I am. I have severe problems supporting Donald Trump. I find him to be a very dangerous and scary person, and to put him in office in the presidency would be very frightening for me. However, I also find Hillary Clinton to be a very dangerous and frightening person.
Absolutely. My point is, after last night, I've always had reservations, and I've said before that I wouldn't vote for Trump because I think of the scariness of the authoritarianness that he presents, which to me is more scary than even a Hillary Clinton, because what you're talking about is the possibility of a dictatorship.
Well, listen to some of his proposals. I mean, when you have a guy that says, I want to, we should take out the wives and the children of terrorists, that we should use torture, that we should let terrorists take over a country. I mean, this is a guy that should not be a chief executive.
Well, it's astonishing to me. I'm the son
Okay.
of
Yeah, tell you what.
Thanks for calling KGVO.
All right. John is answering a phone call. So anything else you want to add there, Carrie?
Well, it's astonishing. I'm the son of a retired colonel in the military. I'm a 14-year. I was a 14-year police officer. I'm very aware of what the Constitution says, and we swear an allegiance and a pledge to the Constitution, not to the president. He may be the commander-in-chief. And when he was saying last night that the military will do what I tell them to do, even when they were asking them about illegal orders, people, that is scary. Not to mention he started off the whole thing about talking about the size of private parts. Really, I know there's Trumpsters out there that will not run away from him, but Emmett, I've heard you talk about your faith a bunch. Really, you're still in that camp. And that's all I have to say.
Are you talking to me?
No, I was talking to a bunch of listeners that I hear coming on all the time, and I listen to them, and so many I agree with. I mean, Catherine, I can't tell you how much respect I have for her opinion and the things that she says, but when she's in this camp, when someone has as bright a mind as she has, and she's in this camp,
I think
I'll just give you this thought.
I feel you. I do not understand Catherine's position on this very well, but I think it is something like this. And
I'll just give you this thought.
Okay.
If Trump's the nominee, I am going to be made feel guilty for not voting for him because it'll be said that I'm not supporting my party. But boy, that's not true. If my party can vote that guy with all the evidence behind who he is and my party's left me, there is nothing left for me to do. I'm stuck in evil either way. I plugged my nose and voted for Romney. I plugged my nose and voted for McCain. But I will not tell my kids 20 years from now that I voted for the next Cesar Chavez or I voted for the next Stalin. I won't do it, even if I do want to blow up the Republican Party, Catherine. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for your call. I very much sympathize with you. All right, let's go to our next caller. We've got Rod on the line. Thanks for calling in, Rod.
Yeah, hi. I was listening earlier, and you guys were talking about the hotels in town.
Yeah.
When there's special events in town, like football games and stuff like that, you can't find a room.
Yeah,
and
it does clog up. But here's the thing. I mean, the question is, And I don't really think it's a question for the city. It's a question for the people that want to invest in hotels and put their money that way. Do we need 3 hotels going up? Maybe we do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And another thing about the roundabout, they're spending these millions of dollars on these roundabouts, but the streets are falling apart.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for this. I actually like the roundabouts, but I do think that the city has done. And you guys have heard me complain about the street that I monitored for a year. You know, where I took pictures of my kids standing in the puddles up to their knees, and sent in requests for those potholes to be filled, and they never came. I mean, there are some things that slip through the cracks when the city is so concerned with other things like the water company, which just cost us money, but don't actually do anything for the lives of the people that live in the city. Thanks for your call, Rod.
You bet. Thank you.
Mike, you're on the air.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, you guys are so afraid of Trump. 7 years of Obama have scared you guys into thinking that Trump is going to be some all-powerful, tyrannical dictator. You're not going to Rhino Republicans and Democrats aren't going to let him get away with squat unless the American people allow him to. This fear of Trump is way overblown. And
well, here's the thing that does scare me the most, and I think you're mostly right on what you're saying, because when it comes to legislation and stuff, the legislature is going to be a big boundary for Trump. But when it comes to foreign affairs, there isn't that much of legislative power over the executive in America now. There's a lot that the executive branch can do when it comes to foreign affairs that the legislature can't stop them on. And most of Trump's crazy ideas start with his foreign policy.
Well, he'll bring in a level-headed. The State Department won't let him get away with squat. Those entrenched bureaucrats, they see presidents coming and going. The State Department is one of the most liberal agencies out there. They'll insist on a director, a Secretary of State who's more level-headed. And I love Trump.
Well, you know what he says.
I don't love him. I don't love.
Who staffs the State Department? Who can say you're fired to the State Department? Is it the legislature or the chief executive? You still there, Mike?
Okay.
Sorry, Mike. We'll go to our next caller. Well, my point there was that the executive can do that. We've got Catherine on the air.
Yeah, just kind of a clarification here, since my name was mentioned.
This is a prior caller had mentioned Catherine, if you just joined.
Yeah, okay. About Trump, he's sort of like the Andrew Jackson of this decade.
He's a populist. I think at that level,
yes.
You're right.
Yeah, and Andrew Jackson kind of blew up the party back then too. Back in the 1830s, I believe. Anyway, so every once in a while, something like that kind of needs to happen, I suspect. As far as who I supported, I have supported over the course of most of my voting life. I've never voted for somebody who won, actually. Ron Paul, I have voted for several times. Every time he's run, I've voted for him.
Okay.
Because he is he's not an isolationist, but he is you don't get into the neocon, getting the United States involved in everybody else's business.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Well,
and
so you supported Ron Paul for his foreign policy, not for his libertarian values?
Well, also for his libertarian values, except, of course, for the open borders. Open borders are the death knell for any country. I mean, Milton...
You wish Ron Paul was more of an isolationist.
Okay. Open borders, you can have open borders, and I'm quoting Milton Friedman right now. You can either have welfare or you can have immigration. You cannot have both, not and survive as a country. That has been proven over and over historically. Go to Roman history when they started letting in the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths back in the day, and without vetting them, which they didn't. 70 years later, they had made it to Rome and sacked it, and that was the end of the Roman Empire.
So let me answer the last caller's question. So that you've kind of established yourself as you're pushing for a big change. You want if you will, a kind of third party or the Republican Party to change into something totally different than what it is today. And so you support Trump in the effort to dismantle what there is of a Republican Party and create something new that you believe would be more like Ron Paul.
I guess so.
And so the Trojan horse here is Trump, who, even though he doesn't really have values you identify with, you're supporting simply because he's a guy with a barrel of explosives on his back.
Exactly. Okay.
I mean, well, I can understand that. I don't sympathize with it.
I know you don't agree with it, but
because what happens when you destroy the party, if that's what he does, and I think he does, and in many ways he already has. I mean, he's certainly dampened.
But see, the party has destroyed the party.
No,
the party has destroyed the party.
People that support this guy have very much disheartened me about the rest of the people in the party. People that are supporting him for his ideas. Now, and clearly, you're not one of those people. You probably find his ideas foolish, as I do. But there are people out there that champion this guy's ideas, and I think it's kind of disgusting.
Part of the reason that people champion him is because he does not do political correctness. Like I've said before, he's ripped the bandage, or he's ripped the mask off a lot of people, and he's exposed a lot of the.
Well, he's certainly shown us how cruel and ugly a person can be. Catherine, I got to let you go. We got a commercial break to go to. We'll talk to, looks like Christine's next in the queue right after this quick break.
Bye, John.
All right, we're back on the Talk Back Show. We've got Christine and Art in the queue, and we're going to start with Christine. Thanks for holding, Christine. You're on the air.
Hey, John. As you know, I'm a card-carrying member of the Pound Never Trump campaign. There is absolutely no way on the face of the earth I will ever cast a vote for that man. I actually think he would do more harm to the country in the long run than Hillary Clinton. And here's why. One, his record shows that he's going to do very similar policies that she will. I mean, he's all over the map, but if you go by his history and not what he's currently saying, you're going to get the same policies. Two, he's an authoritarian, scary wannabe dictator and a bully, which is terrifying in foreign policy, as you have mentioned, whereas Hillary Clinton is just inept.
Yeah, so you've got evil with intention or evil through neglect. And that's my problem. I feel as a voter in the United States, I have a democratic responsibility to choose the least worst option and try to further that option. Now, the thing that makes it hard to say is both Hillary and Trump are disgusting, self-serving egomaniacs that want to use the public office for their self-fulfilling purposes, and that disturbs me. That's not what I want as a presidential candidate. Is it possible that a third party might come about at this late in the game and actually change things? Likely not, unless Bloomberg gets into the race and someone else gets in the race and you have a four. And by the way, this has happened before, right before the Civil War, where you have four different parties going head to head at it, and I could choose the worst or the least bad of those four parties. And actually, you might actually have a good option if there were four. Yeah, I could see myself totally voting out of party for something else if that situation aligned.
Here's the reason I think it will be worse for the country in the long run. Okay? So say Trump is the president and he's got the Republican stamp on him now, and he does the exact same disastrous policies. In fact, his economic policies are exactly what they did before the Great Depression, by the way. And so he destroys the economy and gets us in all kinds of wars with his disastrous foreign policy. Where is the country going to turn if the Republican does that?
It's a good point. And you know what?
They're going to turn to the Democrats, and we're going to have 12, 16 years of the disastrous policies instead of 4.
And Christine was just mentioning, I think it's the Shmuley tariffs that came in.
Yes.
And yes, Trump is proposing a tariff. Let the Democrats bear the mantle of slavery. Let the Democrats bear the mantle of bad economic policies and policies that shift us into decline. Let the Democrats bear the weight of Japanese incarceration. Let the Democrats have that. We don't need a person with the tilt of Donald Trump to make the Republican Party look just as bad.
Well, and not only that, he came out in defense of the internment camps the other day.
Yes.
He was saying what FDR did with the Japanese Americans was just fine because it was, it saved America and kept them safe. He has been on the wrong side of every single issue on human rights. And I think he's the scariest person I have ever seen run for president. And if people would stop voting the other candidates and get behind Ted Cruz, this could be over.
All right. Well, I don't know if I agree with you on the tactics there. I think Rubio has a better shot of actually being but at this point, I really think that no one really has a shot except for the second vote at the convention. But thanks for your call, Christine.
Okay, bye.
We have Art. Art, we got just 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, it's pretty short for what I have to say, but I just wanted to speak to the whole question of if Trump gets to be the nominee, who are you going to vote for? And it comes down to this for me. I mean, you can either vote for a known crook that is going to be doing deals under the table with foreign countries in terms of our foreign relations and selling us down the river.
5 seconds.
Or you can have somebody that's going to be more upfront in dealing with these foreign countries and maybe more confrontational. And you know what? I prefer that at least.
All right. Hey, we got to go, Art. We're out of time. It's a hard stop here. Thanks for your time.